Well, it didn't take Jason Whitlock that long to make his remarks on the situation between Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James. Our good buddy, old pal, Jason Whitlock, has said some things about Stephen A. Smith in this latest go around that will leave you in awe. And we're going to talk about it all here next on the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. Well, guys, man, our good buddy, old pal, Jason Whitlock, he's going to have fun with this situation. Now, we all know what's going around right now, the hottest thing that's on the internet, the feud between Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James. Everybody has weighed in on it. Everybody has said what they had to say. Everybody has taken a side. But majority of Stephen A. Smith's colleagues are coming out and really exposing Stephen A. Smith for some of the lies that he's been saying on national television on ESPN First Take. Now, a lot of people have took exception to some of the things that Stephen A. Smith has said in reference to Kobe Bryant's memorial. He brought that back up. We don't know what his agenda was when he brought that back up, because basically he was saying that LeBron James never attended the memorial service. That has nothing to do with critiquing a man on the basketball court. And a lot of people say that Stephen A. Smith has went too far. A lot of people said this all stems from when Stephen A. Smith made the comments to LeBron James. I'm begging and pleading to you as a father to stop this nonsense. Now, any father protecting their child will look at that as you're taking a personal dig at me. Now, like LeBron stated on the Pat McAfee show, your job is to critique us as basketball players, but there's a line that has to be drawn. I understand Bronny James is 20 years old. He's in the NBA. And we all know the reason why he's in the NBA, because of his father, LeBron James. But the more and more time that we see Bronny James on the court, he's starting to develop some confidence, and he's starting to look like he's supposed to be in the league. Now, you see what he's doing in the G League. He's down there dominating the G League. You know, he had a couple good games on the NBA level. 17 points against the Milwaukee Bucks. Showed that, you know, he could compete with the big dogs. And if you're going to critique him in that facet, it's all fine and dandy, like LeBron said. But LeBron also said it's his job to protect his kid and protect players and protect his household. And now Stephen A. Smith, like LeBron said, is going on the Taylor Swift tour. And now he's really making it personal, because everything that it started out to be ain't what it is now. And there's a lot of lies along the line that Stephen A. Smith has said, and a lot of his colleagues and a lot of contemporaries are on to it, and they have exposed Stephen A. Smith, and he's caught up in his own web of lies. Now, it was surprisingly yesterday that Michael Wilbon came out and mentioned the things that he said about the feud between LeBron James and Stephen A. Smith when it comes to kids. And Michael Wilbon, it was kind of personal to him, the things that Stephen A. Smith has been saying about Bronny James. And Michael Wilbon is a stand-up guy. Him and Tony Kornheiser run PTI. They've been running a successful show for 20 plus years. And basically, Michael Wilbon is stating that ESPN just paid Stephen A. Smith $100 million, giving him basically being the face of ESPN and the morning crew at First Take. So along them lines, you're able to call your own shots. They trust him. Stephen A. Smith been on record to say that he comes up with the topics that they talk about. And like Michael Wilbon said, it's been plenty of times that the producers on PTI has tried to make him and Tony talk about Bronny James, but he leaves it alone. So basically, that's what he was trying to explain about Stephen A. Smith. There's topics that you could stay away from, but you then talking about Bronny James. He said that's pandering because there's other storylines in the NBA that are overshadowing everything that Bronny James is doing. The excellent play of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They don't put focus on that. They don't put focus on how great the Oklahoma City Thunder is playing as a team. They don't put the emphasis on the winning streak that the Rockets are on. But they just got their winning streak snapped tonight by the Los Angeles Lakers. And Michael Wilbon said some things that was surprisingly. But before we get off into that, right now, I'm at 14,665 subscribers. I'm on the road to 15,000. And if you're new to this platform and you just now come across any of my videos, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button. Turn your post notifications on so you know every time Simply Ball drops another hot banger. And with you guys and all the support and love that you guys show, we can get there. So let's take a look at what Michael Wilbon said. And then we're going to follow it up with what Jason Whitlock said about Stephen A. Smith. And you won't believe what he said. Right now, I'm at 14,666. But let's take a look at what Michael Wilbon said. He said, Michael Wilbon says, all this Bronny talk on ESPN is just for clicks and refuses to discuss him the way others shows do. I have a 17-year-old son, so this matters to me. I'm particularly sensitive to it. I'll do anything for my kids, and I would hug LeBron for what he did for his kids. There were shows that talked about Bronny every day. You know what shows I'm talking about. I don't care if my bosses get mad. They would try to get me and Tony to talk about it. No, we were not going to do it. They talked about him more than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That's pandering. It's all pandering. Let me be clear. Our business is a piece of shit these days. Now, let's listen to what Jason Whitlock said, responding to what Michael Wilbon said, and listen how he eviscerates Stephen A. Smith. Let's take a listen.
And so Wilbon is arguing as it relates to LeBron James, ESPN has gone 20 years without holding anybody at First Take accountable for the idiocy and the trolling that is done there.
Wow.
And so Wilbon is saying that, hey, Skip Bayless started trolling LeBron James in 2005, trying to get cold pizza and First Take off the ground.
That's a fact.
And he's saying, like, all that trolling and all that lack of accountability and all the different trolling of athletes and all that, it was inevitable. It was going to end up with LeBron James or some athlete confronting Stephen A. Smith or Skip Bayless.
Wow.
And things getting very, very hostile. And if ESPN had done its job and said, hey, man, we're the worldwide leader in sports. We print money over here. We're not going to lead the rest of the media down this path. Embrace debate. Embrace clickbait is what it really was. But ESPN went that route. And Mike Wilbon is upset that they went this route and gave a big pot of gold to the clown that led the entire thing.
Wow.
The head of the circus. Well, I don't know what they call him. Some name for it. Anyway, Stephen A. Smith is that guy. and he's getting $100 million for leading the clown show that has destroyed sports media and made the media SHI.
Wow. Now you heard what Jason Whitlock said. Now you guys know I've been on record to disagree with a lot of things that Jason Whitlock has said over the course, ever since he's had his own podcast on the Blaze Network. I have disagreed with him countless of times. Sometimes I agree with him, but I disagree with him probably 60% of the time versus 40% that I do agree with him. And in this instance, I have to agree with what Jason Whitlock said, because it's almost like clickbaitable. And Stephen A. Smith knows what he's doing. He just signed a $100 million deal, because this is all the stuff that Stephen A. Smith alludes to. He said, how ironic was it that LeBron James stepped to me in Los Angeles at the Lakers and New York Knicks game on the day I just signed my $100 million contract. And then everything that Stephen A. Smith puts on his social media is well calculated, just like the chess moves LeBron's playing are calculated. Stephen A. Smith, like Jason Whitlock said, the clickbaitable stuff. The little clip that he put about if LeBron would have put his hands on me, I would have swung on him. Do you know what that did? That triggered a lot of things through the social media world. And everybody got wind of that, and it was a whole storyline. So Stephen A. Smith posted that little small clip, and that thing probably got up to 10 million attractions to it, right? So that was clickable. Just that little clip. Nothing else that he put on there. He was just saying, absolutely, if he would have put his hands on me, I'd have swung on him. So everybody has a storyline about that situation. So basically what Whitlock is saying is what Michael Wilbon said. 20 years, and he did point out Skip Bayless. He pointed out that Skip Bayless started this narrative in 2005 about LeBron James. And he has rolled this thing for 20 years. And like he said, Cold Pizza and ESPN First Take was trying to get off the ground. And whatever Skip Bayless did was successful, because that narrative is still out there about LeBron, about he's not clutch, he can't hit free throws down the stretch. And Jason Whitlock's just called bullshit for what bullshit was. And basically he said Stephen A. Smith is the head of this clown show, and he's the biggest clown. But to call somebody a clown and get away with it is interesting. But Jason Whitlock been telling us this for the longest, man. But we ain't been paying attention, because anytime Jason Whitlock comes out and says anything about Stephen A. Smith, a lot of people say he's just hating on Stephen A. Smith. Now, I know there's some history between Stephen A. Smith and Jason Whitlock, and I think their beef is well documented. But the things that Jason Whitlock was saying about Deion Sanders, I didn't understand that. I didn't see that there was a problem with Deion and Jason Whitlock. So Jason Whitlock saying them things about Deion Sanders is a little different. That is some hateful stuff. But there's some history here with Stephen A. Smith and Jason Whitlock. Jason Whitlock been calling Stephen A. Smith out for the longest, even on his Straight Shooter book, talking about he don't think Stephen A. wrote that. Even with his basketball collegiate career, he said, you're going to tell me that this guy was in a park and he hit 10 threes in a row and Big Game James signed him to a scholarship right then and there in the park. I mean, it's all kinds of things that Stephen A. said that Jason Whitlock has picked apart. And Jason Whitlock is basically saying that Stephen A. Smith is the biggest clown on television right now. I see everybody in the comments section, hashtag salute. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, turn your post notifications on so you know every time Simply Ball drops another hot banger. Oh yeah. Just in case I forgot. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Might not be for you, but it might be for them. This is going to wrap up another episode of the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. I'm your host and behind the mic, K-Sap, and we're going to catch you on the next one. Deuces.
Thanks for listening to the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share on all major platforms.
That's all, folks.